Start with a question, a real one. Not the kind you answer on a tax form or, a dating profile. I mean, if I walked up to you right now, stopped you on the street, looked you dead in the eye and asked, "Who are you?" What happens?
Panic.
Yeah, maybe a little panic, definitely some confusion. But usually, once that shock wears off, you get a script, you get a name, "I'm David." You get a job title, "I'm a marketing manager," or "I'm a teacher." You get a relationship status, "I'm a father," "I'm a wife." We have these like preloaded cards we hand out to the world.
Exactly. We list our labels, we list our biological functions, our social roles. It's a resume, not an identity. We confuse the history of the person with the presence of the being.
Right. It's the about me section of your life. But what if I told you that every single one of those answers is wrong? And not just like a little bit wrong, but fundamentally a hallucination that is the root cause of basically all your stress, all your anxiety, and that nagging feeling that something is missing.
That is the premise we are working with today. And it's a terrifying thought for most people. I mean, if you strip away the name, the job, the body, the history, the trauma, even your personality.
Yeah.
What is left?
Is there anything left?
Or do you just disappear?
That is exactly what we are going to find out. We are doing a deep dive into a text that is, well, it's widely considered the nuclear option for identity crises. It's called Who Am I, or Nan Yar, in the original Tamil. And I want to be clear right off the bat. This isn't some modern, fluffy self-help book you buy at the airport to feel better about your productivity. This is a spiritual classic.
It is. It's arguably one of the most important texts of the 20th century in the world of non-dual philosophy. And the crazy thing is how tiny it is. It's just 28 questions and answers.
You can read it in 20 minutes.
You can, but you could spend 20 lifetimes trying to actually understand it. It is incredibly dense.
I want to set the scene because the backstory here is like something out of a movie. It's 1902. We are in India, specifically on the holy hill of Arunachala.
A very spiritually charged place. For thousands of years, this hill has been seen as a manifestation of Shiva. It draws seekers in like a magnet.
Right. And into this setting walks a man named Sri M. Sivakasam Pillai. Now, Pillai isn't a monk. He's not a renunciate living in the woods. He's a smart, logical, bureaucratic guy.
A graduate in philosophy who works for the revenue department.
Exactly. He's got a regular life, a government job. But he's burning with these questions. He's got this existential itch he just can't scratch. So he climbs up to the Virupaksha cave to meet a young master.
The master being Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi, who at this point is very young. He's in his early 20s. He's not the old man with the white beard we see in photos yet.
And here's the catch. Pillai gets there. He's ready to ask his questions. He's got his notebook ready. But the master isn't talking?
No.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because he had taken, a religious vow of silence, like a Mona vow, which is what people often assume. The text is very specific about this.
Oh, it does say.
It says he simply did not have the inclination to talk.
Which I love. It's such a power move, but it wasn't calculated. He just didn't feel like chatting. It wasn't a rule. It was a vibe. He was dwelling in such a deep state of silence that words probably felt like, I don't know, just unnecessary noise.
That's a good way to put it. So Pillai is desperate. He starts asking these burning existential questions, and Ramana Maharshi answers them.
Huh.
But how?
Through gestures. A nod, a hand movement. And when gestures weren't enough, he actually traced the answers in the sand or on a slate.
Just imagine the intensity of that. You climb a mountain to find the meaning of life, the sun is beating down, and the answer isn't a big sermon. It's scratched into the dirt in front of your knees.
It strips away all the pomp and circumstance. It's just raw communication. And those scratches eventually became this text. It serves as a manual for what is called self-inquiry. And I really want to emphasize that word manual. When I read this, I didn't feel like I was reading flowery poetry or religious dogma. It felt like technical documentation. It felt like an instruction guide for a piece of complex machinery, the machinery being your own consciousness.
That's a great way to put it. We should frame this correctly for you, the listener. We are looking at this not just as philosophy, but as a rigorous psychological deconstruction. In the source material, this is described as the direct path to sakshakara.
Which means?
Illumination or realization. It's not about adding knowledge to your brain. It's not about learning new facts. It's about a radical subtraction.
Subtraction is the key word here. We are so used to learning, being an additive process. I learn a fact, I add it to the pile, I get a degree, I add it to the resume. This is about taking a blowtorch to the pile.
Right.
So let's get into the mechanics. The mission today is to unpack this Q&A session. And fittingly, the very first question Pillai asks is the title of the text. Who am I?
And Ramana's answer sets the tone for the whole thing. He doesn't say, you are a spark of the divine or you are a child of the universe. He starts with a negation. This is the ancient Indian process of neti.
Which translates to not this, not this.
Exactly. He starts listing things that we are not. And he is ruthlessly specific. He doesn't leave any wiggle room.
Okay, so where does he start?
He starts with the most obvious identification. The body. He says, the gross body, I am not.
He mentions the 7 humors, or dhatus, which is, ancient biological terminology, blood, bone, fat, marrow, and so on. But the point is, this meat suit, this hardware, not you.
Correct. And that's usually the first hurdle for people. We identify so heavily with how we look, our health, our physical presence. If I cut my finger, I say, I am hurt.
Of course.
But Ramana says, no, the body is hurt. You are aware of the body, so you cannot be the body. The watcher is not the watched.
Okay, so drop the meat suit. That's step 1. Then he moves to the senses, the 5 cognitive sense organs: hearing, touch, sight, taste, smell. He says, I am not these.
Right. Think about it like a computer. You have a webcam and a microphone. Those are inputs. They feed data into the system. But the computer isn't the webcam.
Good analogy.
You are not your eyes. You are that which sees through the eyes. You are not the ears. You are that which hears the sound. These are just tools.
Okay, so I'm not the hardware and I'm not the peripherals. Then he goes after the functions, the organs of action, speech, moving around, grasping things, excretion, procreation. He says, I am not these either.
This is a big one because we often define ourselves by our capabilities. I am a runner. I am a speaker. Ramana says just because this machine can walk or talk, that function doesn't define your essence.
If you were paralyzed, you would still exist, wouldn't you?
That's it. The I remains, even if the function goes. That gets into the vital airs, or prana. This is the life force, the breath, the energy that keeps the machine running.
Even the breath.
Even that, he says, is not I. It's just the power supply. The electricity running through the wires isn't the computer itself.
Okay, now here's where it gets really tricky for me. Because so far, I can kind of get on board. I can intellectually accept I'm not my hand. If I lose my hand, I'm still me. But then he says, even the mind which thinks I am not.
That is the massive hurdle, especially for us in the West. We are Cartesians. We are raised on Descartes. I think, therefore I am.
Exactly.
We equate our very existence with our internal monologue, that voice in your head listening to us right now, that voice debating what to have for lunch. You think that's you.
It sure feels like me. My thoughts feel like the core of my identity. My opinions, my worries, my memories. That narrative running 24/7 that feels like me, Ramana is saying that's just noise.
He's saying it's another object. This is the radical shift. Just like you can see your hand, you can see your thoughts. You can observe a thought passing by. You can say, oh, I'm having a thought about dinner.
Okay.
If you can observe it, can't be you, can it? The observer is different from the observed.
Okay, that's a trippy perspective. If I can watch my mind working, I must be standing, like, outside of it. I'm the audience, not the actor on the stage.
Precisely. And he goes even deeper than that. He talks about the neoscience, which is basically the state of deep sleep. In deep sleep, there are no thoughts. There are no objects. It's just blankness. He says even that blankness is not you.
How can it not be?
Because you are the one who wakes up and says, I slept happily. You were there to witness the blankness.
Wow. So if I strip away my body, my senses, my actions, my breath, my thoughts, and even my unconscious, what on earth is left? That's question 2 of the text. If I am none of these, then who am I?
And this is the core concept, Ramana answers. After negating all of the above mentioned as not this, that awareness which alone remains that I am.
Awareness. Just being aware.
Simply awareness. And we have to be careful with words here. It's not awareness of a car or awareness of a feeling. It is just pure awareness itself. It's the capacity to know. It's the screen on which the movie plays.
Right.
The screen doesn't change whether the movie is a tragedy or a comedy. The screen just is.
He defines the nature of this awareness with 3 Sanskrit terms. Sat Chidananda.
Yes. These are foundational. Sat means existence. It is the only thing that is truly real, that never changes. Chit means consciousness. It is self-shining. It knows itself. And Ananda means bliss.
Existence, consciousness, bleh.
That is the definition of the self. It's not a personality. It's not a soul with a name tag. It is the fundamental ground of being conscious.
It reminds me of peeling an onion. You keep taking off layers, body, senses, mind, expecting to find a kernel inside. But when you peel it all away, there's no thing left. There is just space, presence.
And that nothingness is actually everything.
Exactly. And that presence is what he calls the self. But the problem, according to Ramana, is that we can't see this self. We are blind to it. And why? Because we are too distracted by the movie playing on the screen. We are addicted to the content.
Which brings us to a really famous analogy in the text, the rope and the snake. This helps explain that "why can't I see it" question.
Okay, let's break that down.
Right, this is a classic analogy in Vedanta, and Ramana uses it in question 6. He says, imagine a man walking along a path at twilight. The light is dim. He sees a shape on the ground and jumps back in terror, thinking it's a snake.
A classic jump scare. His heart is racing, he's sweating, he's looking for a stick to defend himself. To him, in that moment, the snake is absolutely real.
It is 100% real in his subjective experience. The physiological reaction is real, the fear is real. But then a friend comes along with a flashlight and shines it on the object, and he realizes it's just a coiled rope.
Ah.
Now here's the crucial point. As long as he thought it was a snake, he could not see the rope.
You couldn't see the rope as a rope.
Exactly. The illusion covered the reality. They cannot coexist. You see one or the other. Ramana says the self is the rope. The world, or rather our belief that the world is this solid, separate, threatening thing, is the snake.
So what's he saying?
He says the realization of the self will not be gained unless the belief that the world is real is removed.
Whoa. That is a heavy statement. He's saying you can't have both. You can't hold on to your illusion of the world and find the self at the same time.
Because they are mutually exclusive in terms of perception. If you are focused on the characters in the movie, you forget you're watching it on a screen. You have to stop getting lost in the drama to notice the white light behind it all.
So he's asking us to doubt the reality of the snake we've been fighting our whole lives.
Yes, which leads to another mind-bending concept in the text. He basically argues that the mind creates the world. He uses the spider analogy for this.
The spider analogy, right. Question 8.
He says the mind is like a spider. A spider spins a web out of its own body. It projects the web into existence. And later, it withdraws the web back into itself.
Okay, so the web isn't separate from the spider. It is the spider, just in a different form.
Ramana says the mind does the exact same thing with the world. The mind projects the world out of itself. When the mind comes out of the self, the world appears. When the mind returns to the source, the world disappears.
So he's essentially arguing for a projective reality, that the world is happening inside us, not outside. That sounds like something out of the Matrix or simulation theory.
In a sense, yes. And he points to deep sleep as his proof. This is a logical argument he uses all the time. In deep sleep, you have no thoughts. And do you have a world in deep sleep?
No, I'm not aware of any world. Wars could be happening, my house could be burning down, I wouldn't know. To me, the world just doesn't exist.
Exactly. No thoughts, no world. But in the waking state, in the dream state, you have thoughts and suddenly, boom, you have a world. Ramana argues that they arise simultaneously.
So there isn't an independent entity called the world standing outside of you waiting to be seen?
You would say no. The scene creates the scene. He says explicitly, apart from thoughts, there is no such thing as mind. And apart from thoughts, there is no independent entity called the world.
That just challenges our most fundamental assumption, that there is an objective world out there and a subjective mind in here looking at it.
Ramana says, no. The mind creates the picture and the viewer of the picture. The snake isn't on the ground. The snake is in your eye.
Okay, so if the mind is the culprit, if the mind is the thing projecting this illusion of the snake, creating all this fear and separation, how do we stop it? Because my mind is a chatterbox. It never shuts up. It's projecting snakes everywhere. I can't just tell it to stop.
This brings us to the mission of the text, the mechanics of self-inquiry, the how-to. This is what sets Ramana apart from just pure philosophy. He gives you a tool. He gives you a weapon.
This is covered in questions 10 and 11, and it's shockingly simple, though I imagine it's incredibly hard to do.
The inquiry is simply to ask, who am I?
That's it. Just ask the question.
Well, it's not a mantra. This is a common misconception. It's not something you repeat like a parrot. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? That's useless. That's just adding more noise. It's a tool for turning the attention backward.
How so?
Ramana gives a powerful analogy here. The stick.
The stick used to stir the burning pyre?
Yes. Imagine a funeral pyre burning. The logs are the accumulated karma, the tendencies, the thoughts. You use a stick to stir the logs, to make sure everything burns completely, to make sure nothing is left unburnt.
Okay.
The thought, who am I, is that stick. It stirs up the other thoughts, the anger, the worry, the grocery lists, and it destroys them.
And then what happens to the stick?
The stick also gets thrown into the fire and burns up. The thought, who am I, eventually disappears, leaving only silence, self-realization.
I like that because it addresses the paradox of using a thought to destroy thoughts. You use one super thought to kill the others, and then it deletes itself. It's like an autoimmune response designed to take up the ego.
Exactly. It's a solvent that dissolves everything, including itself.
But let's be real. I try this. I sit down, I close my eyes, I ask, who am I? And immediately my brain goes, you're the guy who forgot to pay the electric bill. Or, my knee hurts. Or, I wonder if I got any emails.
The text addresses this specifically. He knows the human mind. He knows how slippery it is. Question 11 asks, what is the means for constantly holding on to the thought, who am I? He admits that other thoughts will arise.
What does he say? Like waves on the ocean.
That's the one. He says, thoughts will arise like waves on the ocean.
So what's the tactical move when the electric bill thought comes up? Do I fight it? Do I push it away?
No, fighting it gives it energy. He says, when other thoughts arise, do not pursue them. Don't engage with the content. Don't start calculating the bill or worrying about the late fee. Instead, pivot. Immediately ask, to whom has this thought arisen?
Okay. To whom has the thought about the electric bill arisen?
And the answer naturally emerges. To me, it's undeniable.
Right. It's my thought. I'm the one having it.
And then you immediately strike with the main question. Then, who am I?
I see. It's a loop. A thought comes up, ask to whom. Answer to me, ask who am I, and the mind goes back to the source.
Precisely. You are constantly forcing the mind back to its origin. You interrupt the narrative. Ramana says if you do this with diligence, the mind gets introverted. It stays in the heart, which is his term for the source of the self.
So every time a thought tries to build a bridge to the outside world, you blow up the bridge.
You do. It sounds vigilant. It's not just zoning out or relaxing.
Not at all. He compares other forms of meditation to, like, traps or lulling the mind to sleep. He's actually a bit critical of other methods, isn't he?
He is. He distinguishes between Managraha and Mananasa.
Which is?
Managraha is suppression of the mind, and Mananasa is destruction of the mind. And that's a vital distinction.
Okay, explain that.
Think of breath control, or yoga, or listening to calming music. Ramana says this is like catching a bird in a net. The bird is contained, it's quiet, it stops flapping, but it's still alive. The moment you open the net, meaning the moment you stop doing your pranayama or leave the yoga studio, the bird flies off and starts making noise again.
So it's a temporary fix. It's symptom management, not a cure.
Right. It calms the mind, but it doesn't kill the ego. It doesn't destroy the root, I thought. Rama says breath control and mantras are helpful aids. He compares them to giving an elephant a chain to hold. But they aren't the final solution.
I loved the elephant analogy. Break that down for us.
It's so vivid. An elephant's trunk is always moving, always looking to grab something, a banana, a branch, a person. It's restless. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
But if the mahout gives the elephant a heavy chain to hold in its trunk, the elephant holds that chain tight and stops grabbing other things. It focuses on the chain.
So a mantra, repeating a word or a name of God, is the chain. It keeps the mind's trunk busy so it stops grasping at random thoughts about work or politics.
Exactly. It makes the mind one-pointed. And Ramana says that's good. It prepares the mind. It stabilizes it. You can't perform surgery on a shaking patient. But for the final leap, for the destruction of the mind, you need a self-inquiry.
You need to ask who is holding the chain.
You do. You can't just hold the chain forever. Eventually, you have to realize you aren't the elephant.
There is also a small but interesting note on diet in the text. I was surprised to see it.
Yes. Sattvic food, he says clearly. Of all the restrictive rules, that relating to the taking of sattvic food in moderate quantities is the best.
Simple, vegetarian, non-stimulating food. It helps the mind stay clear for the inquiry. It's physical support for mental surgery.
Which shows he was grounded. He knew that if you eat a massive heavy meal or drink a lot of caffeine or alcohol, your mind is going to be agitated or dull, tamasic or rajasic. It's hard to do fine surgical inquiry when the room is spinning or you're falling asleep in a food coma.
Right. So we have the method. Pivot every thought back to the I and question the I until it dissolves. But I have to ask the so what question. Why should I do this? It sounds like a lot of work. It sounds exhausting to watch every thought. What's the payoff?
The payoff is what everyone is actually looking for, the only thing anyone is looking for.
Happiness.
Happiness. This is section 4 of our dive, desire and happiness.
And he flips our understanding of happiness completely upside down.
He does. In question 24, he asks, what is happiness? And he says, happiness is the very nature of the self. There is no happiness in any object of the world.
That is the hard pill to swallow. We are wired by evolution and society to think, if I get that promotion, I'll be happy. If I eat that pizza, I'll be happy. If I buy that car, I'll be happy. The whole economy is built on this premise.
And Ramana explains exactly why we think that and why we are wrong. He offers a mechanical explanation for pleasure. It's fascinating. It destroys the idea that objects contain joy.
This is the relief theory, right?
Yes. He says when you have a desire, your mind goes out into the world. It becomes agitated. It separates from the self. That separation is misery. Wanting is painful.
Okay, so standing in line for the pizza, smelling it, wanting it, that's actually a form of stress. It's a lack.
Yeah.
A disturbance.
Correct. Then, when you get the pizza and take that first bite, what happens? For a split second, the desire ceases. The agitation stops. The mind briefly turns inward because it has nothing else to chase in that instant. It has caught the rabbit.
It relaxes. The wanting shuts off.
It creates a vacuum of thought. And in that quiet moment, the mind dips into the self. It touches your true nature, which is bliss. Ananda, you feel a flash of joy. But you make a mistake.
You think the joy came from the pepperoni.
You think the joy came from the pepperoni, but actually the joy came from the absence of the desire for the pepperoni. The pizza just killed the desire, allowing you to be you for a second.
So the pizza was just the off switch for my suffering.
Precisely. He uses the analogy of the sun and the shade.
Lay it out.
A person walking in the scorching sun represents someone chasing desires in the world. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's miserable. The ground burns your feet. Then they walk into the shade of a huge tree. That's the self. It's cool and pleasant.
And the relief feels amazing.
But the fool, as Ramana puts it, stays in the shade for a minute, gets bored, and runs back out into the sun to chase something else. Then gets hot again and runs back to the shade.
That's the cycle of addiction. That's consumerism. Chase, get, relief, boredom, chase again. It's a treadmill.
And Ramana says, a wise man stays permanently in the shade. He realizes the shade is the source of the cool. He doesn't attribute the coolness to his running. He understands that he is the happiness he's looking for.
So he stops going out.
She stops going out. The goal is to just stay in the shade, to stay as the self.
And that is what he calls non-attachment.
It is, and he has a beautiful image for this, the pearl diver.
I love this visual. Question 19.
He says, just as the pearl diver ties a stone to his waist, sinks to the bottom of the sea, and there takes the pearls, so each one of us should be endowed with non-attachment, dive within oneself, and obtain the self-pearl.
The stone is non-attachment? That's interesting. Usually we think of non-attachment as floating away, being light. I'm so detached, I'm just floating. But he says you need the weight of non-attachment to sink deep.
Yes, because our natural buoyancy is to float up to the surface of the world, to distractions, to thoughts. The mind wants to bob up to the snake. You need a heavy resolve, a heavy dispassion called vairagya, to sink past the surface noise down to the heart.
It takes effort to sink.
It takes effort to sink.
Mm-hmm.
And he equates this with wisdom. He says, desirelessness and wisdom are the same.
Not seeking anything other than the self is detachment. Not leaving the self is wisdom.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
You can't be wise and still be chasing the world. If you're chasing, you're still confused about where happiness lives.
Okay, so we're sinking deep, we're staying in the shade. But we still have lives. We have jobs, we have to catch trains, we have families. How does this fit with destiny and doing things? If I'm just being, who pays the mortgage? Who drives the car?
This is a common objection. If I become enlightened, will I become a vegetable? Will I just sit in a cave? This brings us to the final section, destiny and surrender. And Ramana has a very comforting yet challenging view on this.
He uses the train analogy in question 18. This one really stuck with me because I'm a worrier. I'm a bit of a control freak.
It's so simple. He asks, when you get on a train, do you keep your heavy luggage on your head?
No, obviously not. You put it on the rack or the floor, the train carries you and the luggage.
Right. So Ramana asks, why do you carry the burden of what should be done and how should I do it on your head? God, or the higher power, the self is the train. It's carrying the whole universe. It controls the movement of galaxies. Do you really think it can't handle your suitcase?
So all my worrying, all my I need to control this outcome, all my strategize, that's just me standing on a moving train with a suitcase on my head, straining my neck for no reason.
Exactly. The train is going to the station regardless. Your straining adds nothing to the journey except your own suffering. The train doesn't go faster because you're tense. This is his argument for surrender.
Whatever burdens are thrown on God, he bears them. But does that mean I sit on the couch and do nothing? This is the classic objection to fatalism. If the train is driving itself, do I even need to wake up in the morning?
Ramana addresses this in question 17 regarding action without doership. He uses the sun analogy. This clarifies the mechanism of action.
The sun rises without desire, resolve, or effort.
Yes. The sun doesn't wake up and say, I'm going to make the flowers bloom today. I'm going to make the puddle evaporate. I'm going to warm up the lizard. It just is. It just shines. It has no agenda.
But in its presence, massive activity happens.
The sunstone emits fire. The lotus blooms. Water evaporates. People perform their various functions. All this activity happens because the sun is there, but the sun isn't doing it in a micromanaging way. The sun isn't stressed about the lotus blooming on time.
So the self, or God, is like the sun. It provides the presence, the energy field in which our lives happen.
And we, our bodies and minds, are like the needle near a magnet. The magnet doesn't try to pull the needle. The needle moves because of the magnet's nature. Ramana suggests that actions will happen. Your body will go to work, you will speak, you will eat. But you, the true self, are just the witness, the sun.
You are not the frantic doer.
No, that is a massive shift in perspective. It takes the pressure off. You function, but you don't carry the weight of the functioning. You're the sky, not the weather.
It destroys the ego's claim to being the doer.
And that is liberation. It's not stopping action. It's stopping the idea that I am doing the action.
But what about help? Can't a guru or God just zap me, fix me? Can I just go to Ramana and say, save me, I'm tired?
Question 20 asks exactly that. Is it not possible for God and the guru to affect the release of a soul?
And the answer is a yes, but.
He says God and guru are like signposts. They show the way, they point down the roads and say the city is that way. But they will not walk it for you. He says the individual must walk it.
He used the mirror analogy for this.
Does he who is Rama require the help of a mirror to know that he is Rama? You don't need a mirror to know you exist. You know you are here right now. You just need to look with your own eye of wisdom. The guru can tell you where to look, but you have to do the looking.
But he does offer one fierce bit of hope, and it's maybe my favorite image in the whole text, the tiger analogy.
Yes, it's visceral. Those who have come within the ambit of the guru's gracious look will be saved by the guru and will not get lost, just as the prey which has fallen into the jaws of a tiger has no escape.
That sounds terrifying, being in the jaws of a tiger. Usually that's a bad thing. That's a bad Tuesday.
It's terrifying to the ego, because the ego is the prey. The guru is the tiger that is going to eat your ego. Once you step onto this path, once you start asking, who am I? Ramana is saying you can't really turn back. The truth has got you.
So it might take time, it might be messy, you might struggle, but you will be consumed.
You will be consumed by the self. You won't escape into the illusion again. The tiger doesn't let go.
Wow. So let's try to summarize this deep dive. Because we've covered a lot of ground, or rather, we've dug a very deep hole. We've deconstructed everything we thought we knew.
I have. It's a lot to take in. It totally reorients your relationship with reality.
Let's recap the pillars. First, I am not the body, the senses, the breath, or the mind.
Nitty, nitty. Not this, not this. Peel the onion.
Second, the world is a mental projection, like a spider's web or a dream. If the mind is quiet, the world disappears, and only the self remains.
The rope and the snake. Remove the snake to see the rope.
Third, happiness is my default setting. It's Sat Chidananda. I only feel miserable when I step out of the shade of the self to chase things in the hot sun.
Correct. Desire is the disturbance. The shade is always there.
And finally, the tool to get back there is self-enquiry. Constantly asking, to whom has this thought arisen? And then, who am I? To destroy the mind with its own questions.
Using the stick to stir the pyre until the stick burns too.
It's a rigorous path. It sounds simple, just 3 words, who am I? But I can see how it requires that pearl diver intensity.
It requires constant vigilance.
Yeah.
Ramana says, as long as there are enemies within the fortress, they will continue to sally forth. As long as you have conditioning, thoughts will keep coming. You have to keep cutting them down at the source.
It's not a weekend hobby.
It's a lifestyle of alertness.
So for you listening, how do we apply this today? Let's get real. You're in a meeting, your boss says something annoying, the heat rises in your chest, you want to snap back.
Right there. Stop. Don't engage with the boss's words. Don't engage with your defense strategy. Catch the feeling of anger. Notice it.
Okay. I feel the burn. I feel the tightness.
To whom is this anger arising?
To me.
Who is this me that is angry? Is the body angry? Is the witness angry? Or is it just a thought passing through?
And in that moment of looking for the me, the anger usually loses its punch. It creates a gap.
It dissolves. You realize the me that is offended is just a construct. It's the snake. The real you, the awareness, is just watching the meeting, completely untouched. It's watching the anger like it watches a cloud.
It's a superpower. It's the ultimate detachment. It turns you from a victim of your thoughts into the master of your house.
It is freedom.
I want to leave you with one final provocative thought from the text, something that really struck me as a podcast host. Someone who deals in information, who loves reading and researching.
I think I know which one you mean. Question 23.
Yes, the question about books. Is it any use reading books for those who long for release?
And Ramana, the master, says, there will come a time when one will have to forget all that one has learned.
Forget it all. He says the self is within, but books are without. You can't find the inside by looking outside.
He compares the self to the kernel inside the husk.
Yeah.
You have to discard the husk to get the kernel. Books, theories, podcasts, even this conversation right now, they're just the husk.
They're just the packaging.
They're packaging.
So is it possible that your quest for more information, more deep dives, more articles, more tutorials is actually a distraction from the answer that is already sitting right there inside you?
That's very likely. The map is not the territory.
Oh,
Eventually, you have to put down the map and walk. You have to stop reading the menu and eat the food.
On that note, we're going to let you go walk. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into your own existence.
Bye-bye.
And remember, who are you? Really. Yeah. See you next time.